Travis Brown, Horror Movies Uncut, Submissions and Slashers podcast. I am here with the man, JT Mollner, Chris Elliott, Z-Berg, music, or I'm sorry, Chris Bell.
Yeah.
Sorry. There's a lot of Chris's. You guys have like a lot of Chris's. There's a lot of Chris's around here, so I've just been butchering names.
Priscilla Elliott's our production designer.
Right. Priscilla, Elliott. I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? So we got that in post, right? That's how we do it. Okay, so anyway, we're talking about Strange Darling, okay? Hands down, this film is shot in probably the best way you could see. So the most important thing that I want to know, and you guys all, JT, let's start with you. When you're thinking about this movie, the process, I remember you talking at the screening, the time in between. Okay, I'm looking at this like an Outkast album. All right, they take time in between their albums because they want them to be good.
Fucking great.
You know what I'm saying?
You
know what I'm saying? So in that process, what kind of hiccups? What were there moments when you're like, this is not happening? You know, because I feel like when I talk to filmmakers, sometimes these doubts start to creep in when things are not going the right way. And when you got extra time kind of invested in the project, it seems like that also gives extra time for more doubt to kind of creep in. Mm-hmm. So tell me about the process, creating Strange Darling, just briefly, hiccups, anything out of the ordinary that really made you doubt that this was even going to be.
Well, we only have 10 minutes. No, it's interesting because it's been, I never thought I'd be the kind of director who would make a movie every year, like the whole Woody Allen thing every year, you know, for the whole, and I just couldn't go right back into it. I have to recharge, I have to think, like, for me it would be nice every 2 to 3 years. Yeah. Just make a, but at the same time I never planned on going like 6 years between movies, and that's what happened this time, and it wasn't because there was necessarily one project we were developing the whole time. There were just projects that were cast with no money, and then money with no cast. You know, stuff fell apart because of the pandemic. I had a lead who was going to star in my movie who passed away, and it was really sad. It was Robin Forrester. So we were supposed to do a movie with him, and there were all these horrible things that happened, and then the bizarre and crazy thing about Strange Darling is it was first called I See Devils, and then it was called One Night with You, and then it landed on Strange Darling, which is my favorite title of all of them. But this movie was the easiest, it was the craziest thing, it was the easiest movie that I've ever gotten set up. Okay. So the movie, I sent it to Z. I wanted her to do the music for the movie, and I'd written a bunch of her songs, her older songs, into the movie, and I sent it to her, and I said, this is probably too early to send you the script, because I have no producers and I have no financing, and I know sometimes it takes 3 years, so we just read it, and she read it, and she wanted to do it, and I was like, okay, this could be a long, long time. And then 3 months later, we were shooting the movie. It
was not normal.
It was crazy. We sent it.
You're ready? Okay.
Took it to Giovanni Ribisi, who has his own company, and wanted to shoot the movie, and he wanted to make it, and we almost made it with him, just him, and raised a little money to make it for a very low budget. And then I sent it to my agent, and he was like, no, we can get you guys even more. And he sent it to Roy Lee, the producer, who sent it to his partner, Steven Schneider, and they both said, we want to get this movie financed. And I said, well, can we do it quickly? And a month later, they had 3 offers, and we sat down with Miramax for our first meeting, and Bill Block, the head of Miramax, sat down across the table from me, and I started telling him how I wanted to shoot the movie, and he said, we're doing it.
It's awesome.
And I was like, we're doing it? He said, yeah, we're doing it. And
is this the 90s?
They greenlit the movie in the room. We started shooting it. Now, once we started shooting the movie, it's by far one of the most challenging experiences of my entire life. And were just so many, it was very, very difficult.
Helps to have that type of a cast that you have.
Yes, I mean, they were amazing. So it was a very difficult shoot.
For sure.
But but it was all worth it. We knew it was going to be worth it, but we had lots of challenges we were up against, budget-wise, and all kinds of weather. I mean, there were all kinds of things we had to deal with, but it worked out.
Were you flattered when he's writing the script with your music already involved in it? Like, was this something instantly you were like, yeah, I gotta be a part of this, or did you have your hesitations too?
I mean, it's...
I had to talk her into it.
No, didn't. I mean, the first conversation we ever had was about like this as a concept. It was about Harold and Maude and Magnolia, and like me sort of lamenting the fact that every time a single artist soundtrack happens, everyone loves it. Yeah. And every director is like, what if I simply did not?
Yeah.
And so we had this conversation, and truly it was 2 years later he sent me the script, and I was just like, this is my bucket list. I think even if I hadn't liked the script, I would have considered it.
It's a huge word.
Yeah, but truly, I'm like, it's kind of my dream project.
Okay.
And then I read it, and I was like,
can I play the lead?
yeah. To be fair, there is a video of me drunk, self-taping a scene just for fun.
Okay, we will find that, guys. Make sure we're looking for that. Let's get on Reddit, TikTok, and all of there. We will find that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I read the script and I was like, this is what a date with me was like 10 years ago.
Oh, okay. So you were one. Okay. And Chris, so when it comes on your plate, when you're getting brought into the mix, like, what was your initial thoughts on the project when it was placed in front of you?
Oh, it's,
You've been involved in a lot of great stuff, man.
And I've known him for a long time, and we worked together before on Outlaws and Angels, and he's a brother to me.
Okay.
The script was amazing. So when I started getting the first footage, I was just elated, just really excited. And I've always said there's a lot of movies that you have, as an editor, you have to really muscle and get them together.
Right.
This just fit like clockwork.
Right.
It was just, we cut the script,
Yeah.
and we had these amazing performances, and then we started bringing in music, Z, and then when Craig came on board, and we had the most amazing mixers we could ever work with. And at Esso Sound, and it just it like a Swiss watch, like a robot.
It just all came together. It sounds like,
It was a beautiful process.
It's amazing when you see, when there's so many things involved, but you guys can kind of just organically let it roll out. I think that speaks volumes to your guys' commitment to each other and your union and brotherhood. So that's huge. JT, real talk. Why are you making a movie triggering me, man? Because every woman I've dated in the last like 10 years is in this film. So I'm like trying.
You were sitting
I dated you. So I dated you. Yeah, you heard me in the theater. I was like, oh my god. Right. I was up there just dying because I'm like, this dude is triggering me. Everything that is coming out of her mouth. So I have got to ask you, man, is there, and I'll actually ask all you guys, give me an experience, like is there one crazy little experience that you've been through where you were just like, I think I need to leave? Like this was nice to meet you.
One?
Yeah, just give me one. That's just one.
I think usually
without offending anybody's grandma, children. You know what I mean?
I've lived a very experimental life. So usually when you find things like either from a metaphorical standpoint or from a literal standpoint, or things I can relate to or have been through on some level. Never killed anybody, never been around some news stories. But these are hyperbolic versions of, or maybe when I look at certain scenes in this movie, it's like, this is my worst nightmare because what if this experience that I had years ago had become this? And in that experience, at the time, I might have been like, what if this, because my brain goes in different ways. And maybe this is a result, or the imagination in this movie is a result of some of my own paranoia in situations like that. But yeah, so
white women are crazy. I said it.
It's.
I mean, he's the one who's done chasing her home. I mean, that's the point. Yeah,
half of my city is St. Louis has guns. All right. So give me some female love on this one though, because like from your perspective, like I just feel like there's a lot of women who are just gonna be just sitting there smiling, like for so much of this movie until whatever. But what is your kind of frame of mind with this kind of whole situation between our lovely people in this film?
It's interesting because number one, like I cry every time. Like it hits me, and it's really a testament to Willa. It's like her performance is so.
Just be careful.
Her performance is so nuanced, and there's just so much in it. But
Empathy.
yeah.
Yes.
You have so
Yeah,
much-
well,
Yes,
that's the
for
thing.
sure.
As he was talking about earlier, like both of the actors come with so much empathy for their characters.
Like everybody's.
And, you know, and also I feel like in modern life, for whatever reason, like movies have sort of had a tendency more towards like gritty neo-realism, like explicit morality. And that's not what life is like.
Because that's bullshit. That ain't real.
Yeah, and so to be a part of this film that is both like very modernist in its telling, but also is like representative of like how much gray area exists in life and morality, and also that like none of our experience of life is completely linear as well. Like it, like watching that movie feels like what living my life is like.
Right.
Also, I have a terrible memory, so it's really spotty.
Yeah. I love the direction of how it was set up. It kind of reminds me of a lot of Asian cinema on how it was put together, so I love that. You guys have been fantastic. As a guy who's also a paranormal investigator for haunted vehicles, the Gremlin was in the movie. I love seeing that. The big truck that was in the movie, the big Ford that was in there as well. You guys, what do you want people to take away from this film after they see it? What is one thing that you really, really hope hits home with them after watching the movie, which is a better way to say it?
For me, and it's something I talked about with Chris, who is more than an editor, he's a collaborator, and he'll help me bring emotion out of scenes by sometimes not cutting anything at all, right? Like, let's just stay here. Like, he has those instincts, and what I talked to him about and also Z about was this movie. I know it's going to be categorized as a horror film, and I love horror films. It's a serial killer movie, great, but the gray area, it's everything for me. And finding compassion for having, especially the characters having compassion for themselves, and there being humanity within these characters, no matter what they do. There could be somebody who's a killer, and you have compassion. Maybe there's good things about them, and then there's somebody who's not a killer, but it's pretty rotten in other ways, right? So I think that gray area is what I'm obsessed with and fascinated by, because that's real life and that's real people. And I didn't want to make a movie about a sociopath or a psychopath. And I think that hopefully we get it across that there's a lot of complexity within the characters here, even though it's a simple story, a simple chase movie on some levels.
For sure. When I look at gray area, Basic Instinct comes to mind. Let's go, Strange Darling, right? Everybody, thank you so much for your time. Chris, JT, Z.
Thank you, man.
Best of luck. Everybody, please go watch this movie. You're not going to be disappointed. We're out. Movies Uncut, guys. Thank you guys so much.